Alright, so today we're going to be rating what I think the best martial arts base for MMA is. So it's not, you know, I've done MMA and then I do Taekwondo on the side. It's like, you've done Taekwondo your whole life and you want to transition into mixed martial arts. So I've got a few different martial arts here and we'll be rating them. So we'll start off with Taekwondo, like I mentioned. We'll be doing the WT style, so the style that's in the Olympics, and the more, the more popular style of Taekwondo. Their stance isn't the best for MMA. It's quite sideways. They don't really use their back leg a lot unless it's for a spinning attack. There's people that have made this work, of course, like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's probably the best example, even though he came from a Kempo karate background. But they have good kicks, but they're not very powerful. You don't see many knockouts. You see they're good feet, but I don't think they're the kicks that they throw. They wouldn't work in MMA. They'd easily get taken down as well, so I'm going to have to put it in D for that reason. Next we have Sumo, which is a Japanese wrestling, but you can't put anything you put down on the mat is a point. I think the mat is over, so it's pretty much pushing each other out of the boundaries. I'm not quite sure of what the ring's called, but I mean, maybe it'd be good in heavyweight, for a boring fight, just push into the cage and get cage control time, but it wouldn't be a very fan favourite style. I mean, you see a few, judo throws in Sumo, but they're not that popular, so I'm probably going to put that in. It's probably more effective than Taekwondo, so I'll put it in C for now. Next we have Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, the sport style, not traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. I think this would do quite well because they've got the stand-up, and then you've got the randori, and then you've got ground fighting, so the striking semi-contact, so it's not the best for MMA like Sambo, but it's probably better than doing maybe karate or Taekwondo, where your stand-up's not the best for MMA, but it's alright, but you've got no grappling. But Japanese Jiu-Jitsu sort of covers it all, so I'm going to put it at A for now. Actually, I think it's quite a good rating. Next we have Muay Thai. Their striking is obviously some of the best in the world. The majority of the best kickboxers and strikers, they're all Muay Thai fighters, so their striking's very good, but they'd get easily taken down because they have sort of square stance. Where do I put this? I'm going to put it in B, I think. They've got good clinch work, but it's even clinching in Muay Thai is different than it is in MMA, so I'm going to have to put it in B. Next we have Sanda, or Sanshu, some people call it. It's Chinese kickboxing. I think this would do really good because they've got takedowns and they've got really good striking, so probably going to put it quite high. And they're really they're really fast and they've got powerful kicks in this style of kickboxing. The only problem is their takedowns are very different to traditional wrestling, because if you get more points for taking someone down without bringing your knees or body to the floor, so they defend takedowns differently, which wouldn't be very do well for MMA because there'd be easy counters and stuff like that. So, but I think it's not S tier, but it's A tier, just like Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Next we have wrestling. I think wrestling's produced the most UFC champions in compared to any other base style for MMA, so I'm going to have to put it high. And if you can defend takedowns and take people down, and you can, you decide where the fight takes place, so I'm going to have to put that A too. Alright, next we have K1 kickboxing, or K1 rules kickboxing. This is probably just as good as Muay Thai, because although you don't have the elbows in the clinch work, we have a little bit of clinch work. Their style is a lot better for MMA, so you wouldn't have to change as much and their strikes would work, but then they'd have to learn a lot of grappling. But their striking would be very good, so I'm going to put it the same as Muay Thai, just for the reason they wouldn't have to change their stance. Next we have Shotokan Karate, just because it's probably, again, the most popular style of karate. It was in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, so their style is a bit like, I suppose you could compare it to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson or Michael Venom Page, although Michael Venom Page came from a point fighting kickboxing background. That's a very similar style to Shotokan karate, I suppose. So there's people in the UFC that do well using Shotokan karate, but I don't think it's as good. It's like a 1 in a million, I suppose. I mean, they've got fast kicks, but they don't have any power, do they? Like that's finals in the Olympics. The guy got knocked out, and he got gold because the other guy got disqualified. So they're semi-contacts. That wouldn't work very well in MMA. But they've got a few takedowns as well. So do I put it? I'm gonna have to put it in C because it's probably more useful than Taekwondo. But we have Judo next. Judo would be really great with another martial art, but on its own it's not that effective, because even the takedowns, once you take away the gi, it's a lot harder to take people down. As if you could combine it with others, it'd be really great, but they don't have any striking. It'd be good to defend cage. They'd be really good in the clinch and defending wrestling and cage clinching, but I mean, I think it's produced some. It seems to do better in women's MMA, because you've got Ronda Rousey and Kayla Harrison, who both are very good representatives of judo, and I believe they both medalled at Olympics. So, but you see a few judo takedowns, but you don't see many people coming from judo in the UFC. So I'm gonna have to put it in D, but I'll put it higher up than Taekwondo. Next we have boxing. Not many people start boxing and decide to transition to MMA, because if you're any decent at boxing, you're making a lot more money turning pro in boxing than you would be transitioning to MMA. But the stance is a little bit different, but it's not too much different where you have to change it. The only problem is they put a lot of weight on the front foot when they're throwing combinations, so they'd get eaten up by leg kicks and single legs. And it's like Taekwondo, where they've only got one technique in MMA. They haven't, like Taekwondo only has kicks, boxing only has punches. I mean, you've got a little bit of clinch work, but it's not very technical, their clinch work. So, but then punches are the most thrown technique in MMA, so it's got to be more effective than judo and Taekwondo, I'd say. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to have to bring Zumo down to D tier, and then I'll put boxing with karate at C tier, but I'll put it higher than karate because boxing guys are usually a lot more conditioned as well, and they can handle a punch and stuff. Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The image shows Brazilian gi Jiu-Jitsu, but I'll be speaking about no gi Jiu-Jitsu. Guard pulling, if you're a guard puller going into MMA, then it's very hard, because I suppose you could pull guard, but you probably get knocked out by ground and pound, and it's a lot harder to like do submissions off your back when there's the threat of getting punched or elbowed in the face. So, but if you're a no-gi jiu-jitsu practitioner that is good at stand-up and wrestling and stuff, I know that's, I suppose, a different martial art, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is its own mix of martial arts, I suppose, anyway, of grappling, because it involves different styles. But grappling is very effective, isn't it? Because when all martial arts were separate and everyone only did one, Royce Gracie won the first UFC, didn't he? So I suppose I'm going to have to put it quite high. But can I put it as high as wrestling, or no? I'm gonna have to put it. I'll put it above Muay Thai if it lets the thing lets me. but I'll put Muay Thai, Pan, kickboxing. Last we have combat sambo, specifically combat sambo, which is, it's basically MMA in a gi, isn't it? I think the Soviets created it because they didn't want their people to, train judo or wrestling that came from, Japan and the USA, which were enemies of the USSR at the time, so they brought up their own martial art. And I think the rules are it's MMA, but you don't get any points for the striking unless you knock them out, so it's still more grappling based, which makes sense with the gi as well, easier to grab people, and I believe headbutts are allowed as well. And lots of these, people from Dagestan, like Habib Nurmagomedov and Umar Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev, I'm pretty sure most of them, they're wrestlers, but they've all used to train combat sambo, and I believe they're all European and world champions, so I'm going to have to put it in S for there. I don't think there's any martial arts I missed out, or major martial arts, but if I did, leave it in the comments, and thanks for watching.